This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Optimize your nutrition with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences, like Calorie Smart and Protein Plus. Factor's keto meals can help you lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks. Get started at factormeals.com/factor50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Weight loss with Factor Keto based on a randomized controlled clinical trial. Results will vary depending on diet and exercise.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Struggling to get out of bed? It might be time for an upgrade. Lisa makes exceptionally comfortable mattresses designed for every body and budget. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to giving back. Since 2015, they've donated over 41,000 mattresses nationwide. Elevate your sleep in your space with Lisa. Go to lisa.com for 20% off their award-winning mattresses, plus an extra $50 off with promo code IHEART. That's LEESA.com. Promo code IHEART for an extra $50 off.
Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barreiro's Top 5 at 5.
Brett Blakemore, the floor is yours.
Well, let's talk tourney here. We got 2 live games going on right now. 6-seed Ole Miss leading 11-seed North Carolina 63-59. Close game, 3 minutes left in that one.
63-59?
Yeah.
Wow, because Ole Miss was up
59.
Ole Miss was up 19 at 53-34, so a furious Tar Heel comeback, you say?
That is correct.
All right.
And then let's see. 4-seed Maryland is beating 13-seed Grand Canyon 42-30. The second half just got underway a few minutes into that. Handful of games still to come, including your guy, Rick Pitino, and his New Mexico Lobos.
Richard Pitino,
excuse me.
Yeah, come on.
It just rolls off the tongue.
It does. It's just one Pitino, you know them all.
Yeah, correct. They take on Marquette, 6:25 tip on TBS. A lot of other games. Personal note, all of my local angles are still in. Iowa State earlier today rolled Lipscomb 82-55. Yesterday, I said, if you'd have drove 90 minutes to either south or east, and you would have put money on the Drake Bulldogs, you would have won because they dominated as well. So some good tournament action going on.
So your bracket hasn't been busted yet, you're saying?
It's doing well. I wasn't going to bring that up.
Yeah,
but
I'll do it for you.
I peacocked about the Bulldogs, but that's it.
That's okay. That will work. We had a nice discussion. It'll be podcastable after the show with USC coach Eric Musselman. And the first thing this was at about 4:30. Was that the time? Yeah, 4:30 we had him on. No, 3:30. 3:30 Central. Yeah, my time zones are screwed up. And the first thing he said was, I got plenty of time on my hands right now, because he didn't make the field in his first year at Southern Cal. So he was pretty honest about that. And we had a nice, far-ranging discussion, including about his own relationship with the University of Minnesota, and certainly this market and the love we lost, and the fact that at least once, for sure, we positively, absolutely could have had him, but not that I'm wallowing in the past. What else you got?
We can go here.
Time now for the obligatory Kevin Fallness Minnesota Wild mention.
Well, what was your favorite David Juracek moment, at least temporarily? He's reassigned to Iowa after not playing a single second up here in this recent stint.
Patience.
I guess first-round picks, just throw them around for anything.
Yeah, we're thinking long-term here. It's going to take some time. He's going to develop. We got to do it on our time frame, and he'll get there. Just take it easy.
Well, according to Russo Radio, because that move happened, Jonas Brodin definitely returns tomorrow, says Russo Radio.
Warrior.
Tweeted it at 3 right as we started the show.
What about Kaprizov? Not yet.
No update on it. We're taking our time on Kaprizov.
All right, very deliberate.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
when do we play next?
Tomorrow, matinee affair against the Sabres.
Here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and you'll be able to hear it all on the X. I believe extended beyond the pond.
Aren't they terrible?
They're not good.
Yeah.
They're not a good team. So they should win that one.
Beautiful.
Let's go here. Wolves speaking of bad teams, the Wolves get the rematch tonight. You'll hear it on the Fan. Tip at 7, pregame 6:45. The very, very bad, I'll say it, loser-proof tonight. Loser-proof for your Wolves against the Pelicans. It should be. There's no injuries. I looked at the Wolves PR Twitter account. No injuries to report. There's no reason the Wolves can't get it out tonight.
Beyond that, what is now confirmed is that Zion Williamson's not playing in the rematch. He was very effective in the first. His plus-minus, people I think sometimes get too hung up on plus-minuses, wasn't great. But he looked damn good to me and damn effective. He looks like an all-star against us every time he plays, and he's out for tonight's game. So that's another reason to want to believe it's loser-proof. I don't know if we can ever use that term right now based on the way this team does not take care of business and does not maturely handle the details. But let's just put it this way. Maybe this will be the motivation. If you lose tonight, last game they were down multiple starters. I'm assuming they still will be in this game, and Zion out as well. With 100 reasons to feel embarrassed about having lost the last two. If all of that doesn't motivate you into being interested from the first opening tap of the game, nothing will. We would be close to DEFCON 1 if the Wolves lost for the third consecutive time at home, and again to one of the worst teams in the National Basketball. In fact, the game before we just lost to them, I think Detroit beat them by literally 47 points. So come on, man. I said take care of business tonight.
Yeah, I would say loser-proof. There's a text early on in the show when we were talking Rodgers, and I think the texter said, I can't wait to hear about Aaron Rodgers again during the Top 5 at 5, snarkily. So don't want to disappoint, because Schefter said earlier today, he tweeted out 325, Aaron Rodgers spent about 6 hours at the Steelers training facility today, meeting with their coaches. It was said to be a positive visit.
Was there a deal done?
There was not.
Okay.
But the two sides will, quote, stay in touch.
Okay. Stay in touch is wonderful, but that's still not a deal being done. Your guy, Solon Blaine, did you read what he wrote?
No.
After the draft, what is your first question going to be for A-Raj? Is this going to be just 1 year or two if things go well? He is going to be the Vikings Week 1 starter. There's no rush to sign him. After the draft, there'll be no sort of draft compensation, etc., and gives the Wolves more time to fill needs, and they can lowball him with this is what we got for money. You really want to ride off into the sunset and maybe stick it to your old squad? You're going to want to come here. This is your best situation. Take it or leave it. Vikings are holding all the cards in this game of poker. Solon Blaine's not wrong, but I will add there's another piece to this. Because we've talked about the fact that, unlike Zelensky, we hold all the cards, but you still have to want to play them. Yeah. There is still the possibility that the Vikings have said, I'm not. We talked about it. We got tantalized a little bit. We teased ourselves with it. But in the end, we don't want to do it. So it's got to be more than having the cards. It has to be having the will to play those cards. And that's still, I think, a very, at the very least, open question. And it might well, by this point, be a closed question once we draft or once we sign or trade for a backup QB.
I just love maybe stick it to your old squad. Never heard that one before.
That's a little...
Aaron Jones, Zadarius Smith.
It gets tired, to be honest with you. I don't even think it has much meaning anymore, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, Favre was really the only one where it was a factor that he publicly came out and said it. Well, I guess Zadarius did too, but he stinks. And his club just got rid of him too. Last thing that I had, it's just an L for hockey overall. But
what'd your favorite sport do now?
Well, Connor McDavid is going to undergo an MRI today. Lower body injury in the second period of their loss to the Jets. He was bumped by a Winnipeg defenseman. Severity of the injury not immediately known for McDavid. He sat out the third period and overtime. From a hockey perspective...
Is it lower body or upper body?
Lower.
Oh, okay.
So, a hockey perspective, this stinks because he is, bar none, the best player in the world. Most fun to watch. If we're going to take all emotions and human morals out of the picture, there is a chance that the Wild have to go through the Oilers. And that would be beneficial.
Right.
It would stink, and you don't want that to happen. But that is something to follow if the Wild do stay on that number one wild card spot.
That's true. So is the betting money that this is pretty significant, or it's too early to tell?
I think it's too early. Once the MRI is done, then they'll kind of figure it out.
Yeah, well, again, I'm guessing most Wild fans will say, I'm never going to root for somebody being hurt, personally. Correct. But I'm not going to lie to you. If he's unavailable, if the Wild get there, I'll take that. I'm not going to necessarily be devastated by that news, right?
Yeah, you don't want to see anyone get hurt, but
of course not.
You would be lying if you said it doesn't positively affect the
dramatically.
Wild.
Although, how early would that? Wouldn't be your opening round, correct?
No, it would be probably the second round.
Yeah, I mean, they'd
have to beat Vegas, I believe.
So what you're saying is we'd have to win a round. I mean, right there, you strain credulity. We haven't done that in half a century. No, not half a century, half a decade, I think. But that's the fatal flaw in your thinking is you're projecting the likelihood that we're actually going to get out of round one.
Well, that big pickup they got at the trade
Yeah. Okay. That didn't work out very well, at least not so far. But you know what? As Bill Guerin would say, still a lot of season
of course
left to be played. The rest of the way, and we are going the distance today. We were out at 6 yesterday for Big Dance. I think Big Dance stuff will pick up tonight on the Fan after we're done at 6:30. Oh, we forgot about Wolves.
Yep.
Yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah, after the Wolves. So they will be not only on the Timberwolves channel tonight, but on the Juggernaut, FM 100.3, The Fan. So we got a full almost hour and 15 minutes to go. Lots of things to discuss, a couple things to revisit. And, of course, at the bottom of the hour, we will once again chat with our good friend Lavelle E. Neal III. If you have questions, anything stuck in your craw with him or for him, please hit the inbox, the text line, Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, which continues to be a red-hot 64686. Quick pause, couple of texts to get to, and then we will, as I said, prepare for Lavelle.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Struggling to get out of bed? It might be time for an upgrade. Leesa makes exceptionally comfortable mattresses designed for every body and budget. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to giving back. Since 2015, they've donated over 41,000 mattresses nationwide. Elevate your sleep and your space with Leesa. Go to Leesa.com for 20% off their award-winning mattresses, plus an extra $50 off with promo code iHeart. That's LEESA.com, promo code iHeart for an extra $50 off.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Wolves.
The ultimate day of heavy metal is coming to Somerset Amphitheater. Don't miss out. on the Summer Loud 2025, July 11th, with performances by Parkway Drive, I Prevail, Beartooth, and more. And now through the 23rd, you can use the Shamrock St. Patrick's Day deal. Secure 4 tickets for just $99 plus fees. Get all the details now. KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
The blue skies low. Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy me.
Boys basketball, state of Minnesota. I think we have the state semifinals. In fact, the 1A, we've already have both results, do we not? Cherry 79, Nevis 70, Dawson Boyd 80, Red Lake County 66. 2A, we have Caledonia versus Albany. That is scheduled for 6 p.m. And then at 8, Breck versus Waseca. That is, so that's 1A and 2A boys prep, Minnesota prep basketball as well. Lavelle will join in, as I mentioned, about 10 or 15 minutes or so. Looks like Ole Miss has gone up 7 on North Carolina, 71-64. There's 22 seconds left to go in that game. Carolina with a nice second half comeback that looks like as if it's going to fall short. Maryland pulling away from Grand Canyon, 55-36. I think those are the only active games right now. And there's, of course, a bunch of games that we'll get to pretty quickly, including number 1 seed Florida taking on Norfolk State. You know, it's funny because when I bring up the Eric Musselman history here and the blown opportunities, definitely once, and I still believe a second time if they'd been aggressive to get him here. People go, how long are you going to wallow in this? You know, it's ancient history. What's the point? Why keep going down that same road? I'll give you my answer. Because nothing has happened since. It's real simple. It becomes easy to not want to wallow and relive that history and wonder how things might have been different if you can distract me with some current history. But when the current history is hire a coach, fire a coach, hire a coach, fire a coach, hire a coach, and fire a coach, what choice is there but to wallow in the past? If folks want us to live in the present when it comes to University of Minnesota men's basketball, then let's have something happen worth wallowing in the present. And that's continued to not happen. And whoever you want to blame for the current condition, you want to blame it on Coyle? Go ahead. You want to blame it on money? Go ahead. You want to blame it on circumstances? Go ahead. You want to blame it on Ben? Go ahead. Whoever you want to blame it on, it doesn't matter. It's a disaster right now. It's a mess right now. Attendance has never been worse at Williams Arena for University of Minnesota men's basketball. The winning percentage has never been worse in the conference for Golden Gopher men's basketball. So there's any other way you want to look at it, anyone want to slice it, doesn't matter. It's disastrous right now. I don't think it has to stay disastrous, but that's precisely what it is. And what it is, the other thing that's going to get interesting here is, for all we know, there's a deal done with Nico Medved, whose team advanced with a victory over Memphis today to the second round of the tournament. But the concern is, until we know there's a deal, is there a deal? And is it getting more complicated by Colorado State and Medved winning? Does the price go up? Do other schools get involved? Might West Virginia get involved? Because that's one of the reports that's out there, where if you felt like you had control of it at one point, maybe you don't now, or maybe there are financial considerations. We know Nico's one of us. Is he desperate to come back here? Or maybe not so much. And at what price? And what's it going to cost you? I think his buyout is like 3.3, 3.5. A lot of times these buyouts depend on the contract you give, etc. But it's not going to be as cheap as hiring Ben Johnson the last time around. That's for sure. So all these factors go in, and then that's where it gets funky if because he won, whatever momentum you might have gained might be lost because other schools also say, hey, what about that Nico guy? Should we be looking at him and thinking about him? Now, if it's not him, the idea that there certainly can be other people identified if you're doing your job right as athletic director that might be gettable. It doesn't, have to be that he's the only guy out there. There's several other individuals, I think, who are worthy of at least consideration. But the way this has sort of been reported and the feel is that that's the guy. That's sort of the leader in the clubhouse. And if it's not him, then the door gets opened. And then, let's face it. I mean, the track record's not real good here for Mark Coyle when it comes to basketball. Now, I think there's signs that he got it right on the women's side this time. But even that, I don't think we can say yet is a certainty. But there have been, some injuries that have gotten in the way there that certainly have not helped the cause. But in any case, it's I don't blame anybody if they don't have much faith or they're going to stay nervous through this whole process. Are we, thinking big enough again? Are we going to spend enough money this time? The feeling I had was they didn't have much choice this time because it went so poorly last time. And if you're the AD, I don't think you can afford another swing and miss before people start going, wait a minute, what about the guys doing the hiring here? So my gut was, well, they're going to somehow find money or move money around. But is the price tag, especially let's say Colorado State, will you find out who they play next? If that's established, Colorado State, a 12 seed beating Memphis, and let's say they make it to the Sweet 16 or make a little bit of a run there, then the assumption is maybe the price is going to keep going up on you.
They'll play the winner of Maryland Grand Canyon, so it could be a buzzsaw. The Terps.
That's very true. The Terps are good, and on the other hand, if somehow they were to beat Maryland, then on the you could say, well, that means this guy looks like he'd be pretty promising here, but is it going to make it harder to get him? If others, we're talking about Will Wade, the McNeese guy, kind of saying, look, man. Let's face it, everybody's after everybody right now. And what was the quote he had that got my attention? Let me see if I can find it. There are 5 coaches right now negotiating with other schools. I mean, come on, it's true. Villanova is trying to hire a coach out of the NCAA tournament right now. There is a wild, wild west feel to it now more than ever, whether you're talking about players, as they make runs, still negotiating for their next stop, and coaches as well. And with coaches, it's always been a part of it, but it feels like it's perhaps part of that more than it has ever been before. 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. If you have questions for our 5:30 guest Lavelle, now would be as good a time as ever to send them into this to the booth or to the text line, and we can attempt to pass them along. I think to Lavelle, I think he's back from spring training. I think. Do you know? Is that confirmed? Well, you know what, though? He had told us on the back end that he was going to, he's tuckered. Spring training it's a tough beat down there.
The sun beats on
covering the Twins. Yeah, it's very difficult. So he's at the back end was going to take some time off down there. So maybe he's still down there just recreating. I'm not sure. But we will find out, and we'll get to a couple of things that he has written and any new last-minute detail on the Minnesota Twins because the season is not that far off. So all of that will be part of the discussion with Lavelle. And as it is, we'll talk about this college basketball situation and also his own opinion on whether he thinks the big dance is as big as ever. Some of the new ratings that came in said that the first day was the most watched first day in history. So is that a function of more ways to watch? Or is that a function that people care about this event more than ever? Or is it a bracket deal? I don't know. It could be a little bit of all of that. So all will be part of the discussion, maybe some Wild and Wolves stuff as well with our good friend Lavelle E. Neal III. That is next here.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Struggling to get out of bed? It might be time for an upgrade. Lisa makes exceptionally comfortable mattresses designed for every body and budget. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to giving back. Since 2015, they've donated over 41,000 mattresses nationwide. Elevate your sleep and your space with Lisa. Go to lisa.com for 20% off their award-winning mattresses, plus an extra $50 off with promo code IHEART. That's LEESA.com. Promo code IHEART for an extra $50 off.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Listen up, basketball fans. Head to the Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis, your ultimate tournament headquarters, for an all-day KFAN tournament watch party today. 45-plus big screens. You won't miss a single moment of the action. Come hang out with the Power Trip's Zach Halverson from 5 to 7. I believe Maxo's showing up after that. Enter for your shot to win awesome prizes, including a TV every 2 hours. Get all the details now. KFAN.com. Keep your calendar.
Allery's is a fine sponsor of the Lavelle E. Neal III weekly visits. He joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. You are greeted at the start of the segment by a Larry Mondello guy text that reads as follows. I do remember Lavelle saying he was going to take a vacation to recover from the rigors of spending 3 weeks in South Florida in March. So if he's on vacation, he'll probably be joining from a sunny patio or cigar bar. But if he's back home and working, he'll probably be joining from a sunny patio or cigar bar.
No, I mean, I'm back in the Twin Cities. I got back Tuesday, and it was supposed to be for 2 weeks. And the second leg of that trip was supposed to be some vacation days, but then I voluntarily extended my work stretch into last Friday. So basically I had 2 days off, Monday and Tuesday, if you don't include the weekend. So, because there's a couple things I wanted to write and react to. So I did that. So, yeah, it was, you know what, if you like your job, work is not like work. I'm just going to remind everyone of that, especially you younger people out there who are still trying to figure out something to do with your life. If you like your job, work isn't work. And I have not, if you use that, if you go by that rule, then I haven't worked for 30-something years.
Yeah, that's a long time, isn't it? That's quite a long time. All right, where would you, actually, let me begin with a, I don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time in the Twins today, but this question came in, and it's a fair one, and it's a two-parter. This is from 507 guy who asks the expected timeline for Royce Lewis being out, and secondly, will there be a primary third baseman in the meantime, or will we go by platoon? That's from Elijah.
That sounds like a fancy baseball question, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be a month. It wasn't a mild strain. It was a moderate strain.
A month?
So, what?
A month?
Yeah.
That's a mild
it's a moderate
strain?
hamstring strain. He's probably going to need 3 weeks for it to calm down. He's got to ramp up.
It's just...
probably play a couple games down in Florida and then join the team, or play in St. Paul.
God.
Yeah, because you got to be careful with some of that. The thing that stinks about the Royce Lewis situation is that watching him for the time I was there, if he didn't have a chance to be out of the grounder, he was pretty much just kind of coasting through the bag. He wasn't really tearing it up all the way down the line. I think he was trying to ease his way into things. And then, sure enough, the one play where he decides to bust it out of the box, all of a sudden he grabs his hammy, which is disappointing. And two, is, these soft tissue things is weird for someone as young and as in shape as he is in. And it's just disappointing. But yeah, it's going to take that much time. And as far as the replacement it goes, I think Rocco probably would be derelict in his duties if he didn't spread the love around. I don't think he should name one replacement for Royce. I think you're going to see Jose Miranda play some there. I think you're going to see Willie Castro play some there. I think you're going to see some Brooks Lee. Yes, I do expect Brooks Lee to make the team to play some there as well. He's got pieces to move around there.
He's hurt too.
Play. Say what?
He's hurt. He's favoring something too.
Who?
Brooks.
Yeah, he is. But
never
I don't know if that's. He would be. They would have announced him as being on the injured list if it was that.
Yeah, I know. It does feel like it never ends. You know what I'm saying?
I know for the Twins, and it's tough because every team is going through injuries. I mean, it wasn't too long ago we were trying to figure out when Cat was coming back from a knee injury, and it was just a couple years ago that your quarterback Kirk Cousins and Jefferson missed several games, and we know what's going on with the Wild this year. But with baseball, it's every day, and when you're banged up for a long stretch of time, it really hurts and it matters, and it frustrates fans. I totally get that. But you can't wrap these guys up in rubber suits and send them out to play. They got to go out and try to do what they can. So, but fortunately, there's intriguing possibilities that could play third base because Willie Castro played well enough to be a replacement on the All-Star team last year. Jose Miranda had a terrific middle of the season. And at his age or his career, he's got about 1,000 plate appearances under his belt. This should be the year he kind of breaks out. And he'll have the opportunity to do that as a third baseman, first baseman, DH. And Brooks has got a lot of talent. If he can prove he can hit on the major league level, he's going to play. But defensively, he's great. He's overall a better defensive player than Royce. Definitely a truer arm, and he could play second, short, or third. So I just think you're going to see some mixing and matching going on there, unless something pops up with Brooks Lee that leads to him landing on the IL, but I've not gotten any indications of that, or not heard anything like that from our beat writers. So this is not. This is not the end of the world. They could find guys to play there who aren't scrubs, or at least shouldn't be scrubs. So you just have to move forward that way. So sorry, fancy baseball guy.
Well, no, I think that's unfair. I mean, I don't think it's a terrible question to say if the main guy's out hurt, is there an heir apparent at the position, or are they going with several people? Don't be one of those arrogant ball guys who dismisses every question as assuming it's got to be fantasy. That can be, why is that not a legitimate question?
I'm not saying it's not a legitimate question. I'm just saying that usually when people ask these type of questions, they're trying to draft people and put people in their lineup.
But let's say
when the ball writers get these questions through emails, social media questions, inquiries, and other means during the baseball season, and my radar is up when I start hearing about if they're going to anoint one person or then have a committee.
You're as Glenn Mason would say, you're wrong. You may get those questions, but
I'm reeling.
But I'll ask again. Is it not, if you're a beat guy, are you not asking the question to management about, who's going to play at third base now? What's the plan at third base if he's out for a while? Because it might be viewed as a fantasy question. It's the next logical question, Lavelle. Would it not be? All right, I wonder, I'm a Twins fan. This guy's important, but if he's going to be out a month, somebody's got to play there. So who's going to play there? I just don't think it's that outlandish.
I think if you're following the Twins, you can look at the roster and look at the skill sets of the players in the roster and realize that it's not going to be just one person. And even if Royce was healthy, he's probably going to get a couple of days of rest a week until he proves he can play every day. I think, and if you have a roster with a Miranda on it and a Willie Castro and Brooks Lee, they've got to play. So there's going to be mixing and matching around that second base, third base, first base DH bit throughout the season. We know how Rocco likes to handle things. I believe he had 152 different lineups last year.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, here's what I'm going to do.
Mixing and matching is part of his DNA.
I'm going to give Elijah a chance to say, to fess up and say, well, the only reason I asked was fantasy, or I'm a baseball fan, and golly, he's an important player, and he's going to be out, according to Lavelle, at least a month, maybe a little bit longer. So, okay, what are we? Because, I mean, there are two ways to go, right? There'd be two ways. You'd put somebody there more regularly than just, I'm going to just basically throw 3 or 4 people around. And doesn't that always depend on what your options are and how good the options are?
No, I mean, you're right. And as I'm trying to say here is that he's got options that just aren't scrub options. They got guys that you want to see play. There's guys that you want to see flourish.
Well, no, so he's asking who those guys are. I don't understand. We're speaking like different languages.
One of the top prospects in baseball when he's coming through the system.
Okay, there you go.
Miranda had a great run last year. You think if he could stretch that out over a 5 or 6 month season, he could be a guy. He's my pick to click for this year. So I think Miranda's going to be able to handle that role capably. And if someone gets in that spot and goes off, then Rocco may play the hot hand.
Well,
I'm saying just reality suggests, and Rocco's history as a manager suggests, and the people that he has in his roster available to him all suggest that he's going to try different pieces there.
I would just say none of that means to me that it has to be an illegitimate question. And I'd say if you want to go down the road of, well, you're only asking for that reason, guess what? That's part of what makes the game popular to the degree it is. People are into fantasy. I don't love it. It's the same as with the big dance, and I was going to get to that next. The ratings for the first day of the big dance were very good. But are they very good because people give a bleep about the basketball, or is it very good because now everybody is not only has brackets, but is betting, and in many cases, other than in this state, legally as well, you can't, it's still eyeballs going on to the sport. So I just don't think you can utterly and completely dismiss it if it's part of how people, including leagues, are making money.
Before we get to basketball, let me point out this one thing too. How many times have I made some sort of smart aleck comment on your show?
Well, not as often as me, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think I've been known to do that because I do like agitating people, and part of my DNA is that if you're asking me a question like that, I'm going to figure out a way to be snarky.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was part of my response. As for the NCAA tournament, and I wrote about this in the middle of the week, man, my argument is that this is one of the greatest weeks in sports because of the big dance and the fact that you go in a span of 4 days, you go from 64 teams to 16 teams. And I just think that's terrific.
Yeah.
And everybody's filling out brackets. People who casually or barely follow basketball fills out a bracket. My sister's been getting into my pool every year, and she doesn't know crap about college basketball, and she ended up finishing second 2 years ago. But so everybody, it's kind of like the Kentucky Derby. You know, like the people who don't really follow horse racing get involved because it's one of the marquee events of the year.
It's an event,
and this week is one of the marquee sports events of the year, and everybody wants to be part of it.
For the record, Elijah has texted back, I'm a lover of the Twins. I actually don't even play fantasy baseball for the record. I do play fantasy football, he says, but not baseball. Love the show. Thanks again. Go ahead. Keep mocking and dismissing a listener and a reader. Elijah here looking for info from you, insight, and you're dismissing him as some sort of a fantasy snob who's sitting there going, I got to write all this stuff down because I don't want him to think that I actually care about the game. It's just about fantasy. That's fine. It's up to you.
Just give a lengthy answer as to how they're going to attack
finally.
The
well, yeah, under duress.
I gave him all the information he needs.
Under duress, that was it.
He's coming out of this smarter than he did 15 minutes ago.
Let me give you another. I have one other baseball subject, actually, that I was saving for Sunday sermons, but I will address it, or at least introduce it here, because I do want to get your view on it, and I don't think it's fantasy baseball related, okay? I just don't. You know this, but maybe a lot of people haven't talked about it, and they need to know it. Here's the headline. Baseball has a pitching velocity problem, and it is not slowing down. Garrett Cole, Yankees ace, becomes the latest starting pitcher to suffer a season-ending elbow injury. part of a worrisome trend that's easy to explain but looks almost impossible to fix. And the numbers, the analytics are clear. You may know most of these, but the epidemic of arm injuries, which goes on now for more than a decade, includes ulnar collateral ligament procedures increasing by almost 200% across the majors and minor leagues since 2010. And everybody knows why this is happening. Pitchers are throwing harder than ever. Average speed of the fastball climbing from about 91 miles per hour to about 90 to more than 94 over the past 20 years. The total number of pitches recorded at 100 miles per hour or more has gone from 214 in 2008 to more than 3,300 last season. So everybody knows the issue. It's the quest to get to unimaginable velocity, but it seems that nobody knows how to figure out how to continue to pursue these numbers without greater chance that you're going to blow out your arm. So is there, when you talk to ball people, has anybody come up with the magic answer? Is there a solution? Or are people just going to keep going, yeah, it's terrible, but we got to keep up with the Joneses and throw harder, and if we got to have another surgery, we'll have another surgery announced?
Well, Dan, there's no solution, and players are going to keep doing all they can to maximize their velocity, which means max effort, which means more stress put on your joints and your muscles and your ligaments than ever before, and it's going to lead to pitches blowing out. And I do believe that there's data out there that teams try to look at and try to examine, and they have devices that they connect to these pitchers' arms to see if there's warning signs that could lead to arm trouble that they can nip in the bud to avoid that. But I also believe that some of these teams or some of these organizations are resigned to the fact that they're going to have X amount of pitching injuries every year, and they just have to deal with it when it happens. Because these pitchers are going to drive line during the off season and trying to maximize their deliveries so they can throw as hard as possible. The guy who's a spot hitting control pitcher who's throwing 92 miles an hour is going to get blasted out of the park because of hitters also perfecting their swings and launch angle and trying to get as much bat speed as possible. And pitchers are trying to counter that with perfect mechanics. Throw as hard as you can. What's your spin rate or your slider or your breaking ball? Let's max out. Let's max out. Let's max out. And they know the consequences. A couple of years ago, the Tampa Bay Rays, and I think McCallahan, their number one starter, is just back this year after Tommy John surgery. But they had a run over the last 2-3 years. I think they had like 7 or 8 pitchers having Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think they care, but at a lot of points, I think also just say, you know what, we're going to lose some guys, and we just have to find someone to step into the breach when it happens. I mean, it's sad to have that type of attitude, but pitchers who can throw hard, pitchers who have spin rate. If you're an average pitcher, Dan, you're getting $15 million a year. And if you're a good pitcher and you've won a Cy Young and you're in that stratosphere that is an ace pitcher, you're now trying to get $30 million a year. So for them, it's worth it. You're paying these guys $30 million over 8, 9, whatever years. And teams almost know that those last 2 or 3 years are going to be injury-plagued seasons in which these guys are getting fat-ass checks and not being on the mound to make good on it. That's the reality of baseball, and it's sad. It's definitely sad.
I have an answer. I have the answer. I do. I think I have the solution, but I think it's probably fairly unrealistic, unfortunately. And that is find more pitchers who can pitch like, I don't know, Greg Maddux or Whitey Ford. In other words, pitchers whose call to fame, especially with Maddux, was not about velocity, but about guile, about, location, right? About outthinking the hitter and placement of the ball. But I'm assuming if analytically speaking, if those folks were easy to find, and because we presume that they are going to be putting less strain on their arms because it is less about their velocity, baseball would be doing that. But those are apparently almost impossible to necessarily discover and to nurture.
Yeah, and a couple weeks ago I wrote a story, Dan, and I actually talked to Nick Blackburn, who was the epitome of a spot-hitting starter. And I said, if you were pitching today, should they be sending you the drive line to try to maximize your delivery? He said, yeah. He said, probably. And I actually ran into Kevin Floyd 2 weeks ago because he's with the Players Association. He showed up for the annual address to the Twins in spring training, and he was like, yeah, they probably would have me trying to throw 95. And And it was pointed out to me that you have to remember, I blew out. He said Blackburn's like, I blew out trying to throw 91.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know what it would look like if I was going to be trying to throw 95 or 96. But that's the way the game is played now. The average fastball is now up to 94 miles an hour. 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, when I first started covering baseball, dudes that threw 94 were like seen as gods. And now you pushing 100.
Let's talk briefly. The Wolves are back in action. In fact, it's on the flagship tonight on the Fan. It's the rematch against the New Orleans Pelicans after a very disastrous performance against them 2 nights ago. The good news is Zion Williamson is apparently sitting this game out. He was very good, but you can't. It doesn't guarantee anything with the way the Wolves have spit up the bit. I think most of us thought we'd finally kind of figured it out, and we were kind of past that point, and we were at that serious place with that 8-game winning streak. Didn't mean we were going to win every game, but that we weren't going to play down to competition. So are you done with the Wolves? Or are you still encouraged by that streak, or what do we make of them? Because now we're back losing ground to Golden State. In fact, for tonight, going into tonight, I think we're in the 8th spot. It's all bunched up, but we're in the 8th spot in the Western Conference.
Well, Golden State got hot just as about the time the Wolves got hot, too. So it was like they were just trying to keep up here with them and try to pass them for the 6th seed. And I think Curry's banged up right now, so that's something that needs to be monitored. But I like to think that what the Wolves did during that 8-game run was a revelation to everybody in that locker room as to what it can look like when they're sharing the ball, where they're moving well without the ball, and you got guys contributing. Some nights we need Terrence Shannon, sometimes you need Clark, and sometimes you don't. It was really entertaining watching that version of the Wolves. Julius Randle looked like he was a different person coming off the injured list. So I think they have to. That has to be motivation for them to go, that's what it looks like when we're cooking. We're a team, that is capable of ripping off a losing streak. And yes, they had a couple of hiccups. Indiana game, my goodness. Pelicans, my goodness. They still have one of the more favorable schedules in the league down the stretch here that they can use to make hay and possibly get up into that 6th seed argument once again. So it's not time to think that it's going to be a disaster again. They just have to find that right game and attack teams like they had during the winning streak. They've changed my mind because I think about a month ago, Michael Rand in his podcast asked me, well, who's in a better shape to kind of survive what's going on here, the Wild or the Wolves? And at the time I said the Wild. I think they've been doing a great job without Kaprizov, and the Wolves, I don't know if you could change your spots after 50, 60 games have been played, but they sure did it, and this is what they're going to have to embrace here down the stretch.
Lavelle is our guest. A couple more minutes left with him. We mentioned that allegedly the front runner for the Golden Gopher men's basketball job is Niko Medved. His Colorado State team did get out of the first round. They took care of Memphis, a 5 seed, even though as a 12 they were favored by the odds makers in that game. So there's obvious paranoia here that the longer this goes on, the more they win. Maybe the price tag goes up. There's rumors that West Virginia might be interested, sniffing around Nico. I know he's one of us. But what are you hearing, and what do you think about the current condition regarding the coaching search and whether it might actually get oddly dicier the more that Nico, and now to get to Sweet 16, they have to beat Maryland. That would be a significant, obviously, a victory. But the assumption is that they did that, we probably have to add a few more dollars to whatever the deal is. Are you worried? Do you think it's automatic that this is a guy, or do you think they should be looking elsewhere as well to hedge their bets? What do you think?
Well, I think that this process had to be underway about a month ago, because apparently agents hover around programs in trouble, and just to see if there's a match to be made with their client. And I think we saw that. I think that was going on with Colorado State's head coach and Mark Clough. So I would tend to think that some things have been kind of verbally hashed out here to the point where we've been reporting that this deal could possibly be announced as soon as Colorado State's run is over in the NCAA tournament. So, but I also think Coral's got to be smart enough also to have a fallback plan. So I just think that this thing had to be down the road a little bit. And unless Nico's had a change of heart or his agent was like, look, you can get a little bit more with every win here. I still expect him to be named Gopher coach, and I think it would be a stunner if he's not, because the beat writers in town have written about Nedved with so much conviction that it seemed like it was a fait accompli, right? So that's what I'm expecting whenever this run ends, that he's going to be the guy. But hopefully Cole does have an emergency backup plan if something goes haywire in this. But I can't see how it can't be Nedved.
Well, everything feels so open and fluid in this situation because you got teams, you got players who are already, they're in the tournament and already talking about where they're going to go next or thinking that, because that's all bets are off now. And I think that leads to a sense of it's kind of a wild, wild west. So whatever you think you had worked out, did you really have it worked out? And might somebody else come in to ruin it? I don't think anything. I just don't think at this point you can assume anything until there's actually a deal in place, right? And obviously the timing was such that they probably had to wait. Although it's interesting because, as you know, I think the next coach at North Carolina State basically coached his team to victory, and even though he's pretty much said, I'm not going to stay. What's the name of the Louisiana school that he represents? That
McNeese State?
McNeese, yeah, McNeese. He ends up, Will Wade's his name, and he's been very honest about saying, I'm coaching, but there's other things going on here. And he said, look, there's players in my locker room who are already thinking about the portal, maybe even following him. And so it's made me feel like more than ever, this is a year where nothing is certain until you've got signatures.
Well, college basketball, college sports in general, has become the Wild West now because of the portal, because of NIL money, and I'm sure there's non-stop recruitment. That players are getting text or getting contacted by other players from other teams going, dude, you're blown up over there, but you're not going anywhere. Come roll with us next year. Who knows how long that's been going on. I think there's tampering. I also think that, we have to also watch out for these kids in terms of gambling and gambling influences. Not that they can be bought, but the fact that someone's going to send them a text message and go, you just cost me $200 last night because you missed that layup with 3 seconds that would have helped you cover. So I think there's a lot of unsavoriness that's going on right now. With college sports and definitely with basketball. Yeah, some of it that's unsavory is, we just quoted from a story in Wall Street Journal the other day. There's like 7 different programs. None of them are in this tournament, who are to varying degrees with players under investigation. Games where little what do they call those not side bets? They call them
prop bets.
Prop bets, like don't be the player who scores first, that kind of thing. So there's even forget outsiders complaining. There's concern that actually there are players who are under investigation who may be cooperating and making a little extra money as well. So it's very, very complicated at this point for sure. On that note, we got to go. We appreciate the time. Have a great weekend and good luck with the Sabermetrics people, and more importantly, with those who have fantasy baseball questions for you.
For Sunday, I'm thanking the Department of Defense for slashing and removing Jackie Robinson's page from its website, because it's allowed us to talk about the legacy and the impact he's made and how he's a great American player, as a soldier, as a human being. So I'm glad that the DOD did this stupid, dastardly thing, because it allows us to remember how great this man is.
We look forward to that, and we'll chat next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lavelle E. Neal the third, cranky version today, but that's okay. That's good. It makes, I think, in some ways for better radio. Last half hour on a Friday, you go, God, well, how are we going to fill it? Well, maybe we fill it with some breaking Vikings quarterback news, or at least breaking Vikings quarterback speculation. That's next.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Struggling to get out of bed? It might be time for an upgrade. Lisa makes exceptionally comfortable mattresses designed for every body and budget. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to giving back. Since 2015, they've donated over 41,000 mattresses nationwide. Elevate your sleep in your space with Lisa. Go to lisa.com for 20% off their award-winning mattresses, plus an extra $50 off with promo code IHEART. That's LEESA.com. Promo code IHEART for an extra $50 off.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Catch Martin Lawrence live at Mystic Lake. The Y'all Know What It Is tour hits the Mystic Showroom May 2nd and 3rd. Visit KFAN.com, keyword contest for your chance to win tickets to the May 2nd show.
Apparently, the Vikings, according to at least one National Football League insider, Jordan Schultz, Fox Sports, NFL insider. Is this his real account, by the way? It looks real.
So. Looks real to me.
He is reporting that the Vikings, according to sources, unnamed sources, have had discussions with former Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill about a potential deal. Talks are ongoing and nothing is imminent as of right now, sources tell NFL on Fox. That name has come up. Not a name that inspires me, but then again, it's the quarterback whisperer. So we've seen what he's done with, Sam Darnold didn't inspire me. That hire, that decision, was like, okay, bring him in, it's fine. Not going to do much to move the needle, and we saw how that thing went. So I'm looking at Tannehill. Tannehill, once upon a, if you go back, his breakthrough season was with Tennessee in 2019. He had a quarterback rating of 117.5, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, completion percentage that year of 70.3%, threw for almost 2,800 yards. Now, these days, the yardage, that number doesn't seem all that impressive, but he was very good. And then the following year, 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in 2020. That was Tannehill at his high point, right? Since then, I believe it's fair to say he has regressed and now is just viewed as another body, a guy with some experience because he's been in the league since 2012, but not a guy that anybody is getting all that excited about. He played 10 games last year, or 2023, I should say, for Tennessee. So he did not play in 2024. I don't even remember. Was he hurt? Will you double check Tannehill's status, or was he just not used? 2023, played 10 games and struggled. 4 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions. Very pedestrian rating and a QBR that was at the worst of his career as well. So, again, I don't know if anyone else has confirmed it, but we pass it along to you. The name has come up. That name has been raised by, I believe, Seifert and Gessling locally as being another possibility among the veteran QBs that might be available, correct? What do we have? Did you find anything on Tannehill last year for 2024?
If you recall, it was Mr. Mayo and the coffee
Yeah, that's
His
true.
name escapes me.
Yeah, Will Levis.
Will Levis, that's right. So he kind of took his job, but no, I don't see that he played anywhere. I can't remember where he ended up going, but he didn't play.
In any case, that's the latest from one National Football League reporter. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open 64686. We are preparing, on the Fan, here's the plan moving forward tonight. On the Plus, you'll have what you have, I'm assuming, right now, Big Dance, Westwood 1 coverage, where they kind of go from game to game depending on what the hot game is. And the evening games are, I think, about to begin. There are several involving Big Ten teams. So that's on the Plus. Tonight on the flagship, it's Wolves basketball. They are it's the rematch of their game against the Pelicans. And as I've mentioned a couple of times, Zion Williamson, I believe, is not scheduled to participate tonight after a dominant performance the other night. No Zion. It should be loser-proof. Whether it actually is loser-proof is a different issue. I can't imagine there could be any more urgency for the Minnesota Timberwolves than tonight at home. The notion of, on this 5-game homestand, finishing it by losing the last 3 in a row, and 2 of them to one of the worst teams in basketball, and tonight to a team that doesn't even have access to its best player, which it did in the game 2 nights ago. You can't get any more urgent than that. If you can't rise to that occasion, then maybe you do just shut the thing down and say, all right, we'll just do play-in and see if we can get hot and get lucky at the last minute. We'll see. But that'll be on the Fan. And then when that game is done, the post game is done, then my understanding is that we'll go to some Big Dance. We'll pick up some Big Dance stuff that up until then would have been carried on the Plus. That'll move over to the Fan because it's a big night. Lots of interesting games, including several games involving the Big Ten. What time did we say our guy Richard Pitino is like 6:20?
6:25.
Yeah.
TBS.
And that's
Cleveland.
that's Marquette. It's Pitino You know what's interesting about the Pitino versus Shaka Smart matchup? Those are the coaches. And I didn't mention this to Richard when we had him on the other day. If you go back to when Villa 7 guy, what was his name? Norwood Teague, dismissed. They decided to fire Tubby, right? Off an NCAA tournament appearance, I believe. And part of the belief at the time was Villa 7 guy was so connected to the highest levels of college basketball coaching that he was going to shock the world about who he could convince because of his own stature to come as Villa 7 guy to come to Minnesota, right? That was a lot of the feeling at the time was he had that hubris about him that said, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. We got access to people that you ordinarily wouldn't have at the University of Minnesota because I'm Villa 7 guy. And what ultimately happened, and by the way, the guy at the top of that list, the top of the Villa 7 Norwood Teague list to come here, Shaka Smart. Now, it never made any sense that Shaka would want to come here, but he was convinced that he can get whatever he wants. Well, Shaka wasn't interested in coming here. Neither were several other so-called decently sized names. And that's when panic set in. And as the story goes, Norwood Teague, in a panic, calls Billy Donovan, who then was at University of Florida, the head coach, and said, Billy, I'm hurting here, man. I'm Villa 7. Can you throw me a bone here? Is there somebody that I can get that you think is worthy of consideration that might be flying under the radar? And it was, by all accounts, Donovan was the guy who recommended Richard Pitino, who I think had worked for Pitino had worked for him, if I'm not mistaken. And that's how that marriage came together. Now, what was confirmed again today during our 3:30 conversation with Eric Musselman was at that time the Gophers also, Norwood Teague, set up an interview with Eric Musselman. Eric Musselman at that time was not a head coach. He was an assistant, main assistant at Arizona State. He'd been an NBA head coach, but he did not have a proven track record as a head coach in college. And as Eric reminded us today, he's supposed to, I want to say he was supposed to fly to Florida for the interview. And the night before, maybe even been the morning of his flight, he gets a phone call or a text or or an email, some kind of communication from one of the folks who had helped him book the flight. And he said, I got some bad news for you. I don't think you got a trip to Florida tomorrow. And he said, what do you mean? Well, your reservation has disappeared. And apparently that's how the Gophers or Villa 7 guy decided to move forward, that he fell in love to such a large degree with Richard Pitino that he wasn't going to bother to follow through with the interview with Eric Musselman, a stupendous blunder, as we now know, regardless of what you think of Richard Pitino, and didn't even bother to have the cojones, according to Eric, to actually call and say, look, we love you, we appreciate you, but we're going a different direction. That's how he found out. And so that's the history of this thing is, so the two coaches that are matched up, Marquette versus New Mexico, both were names that you heard around the time the Gophers had fired Tubby and were looking for a replacement. It was the guy that they allegedly wanted at the top of the list in Shaka, and it was the guy they ultimately settled for later in the list, Richard Pitino, with Eric Musselman not even getting a hearing, which still is done as a society material. Let's come back and wrap up a very, very controversial program. We'll give you highlights, lowlights, and prepare you for what could be a very combustible edition of Sunday's.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Struggling to get out of bed? It might be time for an upgrade. Lisa makes exceptionally comfortable mattresses designed for every body and budget. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to giving back. Since 2015, they've donated over 41,000 mattresses nationwide. Elevate your sleep and your space with Lisa. Go to lisa.com for 20% off their award-winning mattresses, plus an extra $50 off with promo code IHEART. That's LEESA.com. Promo code IHEART for an extra $50 off.
You guys know I'm always up for a good MVP story, and one of the best is the story of Wasabi Technologies. Wasabi is purpose-built to free businesses from skyrocketing storage costs and unpredictable egress fees from old and top-heavy legacy providers. You know, the big guys. Wasabi is the world's hottest cloud storage company, becoming the go-to provider for professional and collegiate sports teams and leagues around the world, and here's why. From Wasabi's AI-enabled intelligent media storage, Wasabi Air, to the industry's only cloud storage service with triple protection against cyber criminals, data deletion, and ransomware, Wasabi's taken the lead in driving innovation in data storage, eliminating overhead where it matters to deliver you results you can count on and won't break the bank. In fact, Wasabi is up to 80% less than those other guys and doesn't charge a cent for businesses to access their own data. Wasabi, another championship story. Check them out for free at wasabi.com.
Sermons this Sunday.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Show Wrap.
It's brought to you by American Pressure.
So bottom of the hour, maybe a quick fan on demand in the air, or we go straight to the pregame?
Quick 15-minute fan on demand. We'll listen back to Richard Pitino. Excuse me.
Oh, Richard Pitino, who joined us, was it 2 days ago?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever it was, yeah. It's been a kind of a good week for basketball coaches with Minnesota connections. Richard Pitino a couple days ago, and Eric Musselman today. That'll be podcastable and available to you after today's program. A very contentious conversation with Lavelle E. Neal III between 5:30 and 6 o'clock as well. From a guest standpoint, those were... Well, no, Ben Gessling was also here. Was outstanding. Talked plenty of A-Rod stuff, much to the delight of many of our texters, and even got into some other subjects, including his own alma mater and the college basketball, the men's basketball program. That was between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. I got a couple of juicy ones I'm saving, not guests, but subjects for sermons. Are you on Sunday?
I'll be there.
All right, so that will be a new record for us, I think, won't it? 4 consecutive shows, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, and Sunday. Are you sick of me yet? I mean, it's.
Are you sick of me yet?
And you can answer. No, not at all. You can answer honestly. I can live with it.
No,
but in any case, that'll be on Sunday, and I'm embargoing it for sermons. I think it will be might make for some interesting listening. I certainly hope so, if I can get in after the tsunami. Although now they're saying rain. I think most of the forecasts suggest we're going to get rain on Sunday and not any snow. If you're a big dance junkie, all the action via Westwood One on our sister station, KFAN Plus. Also want to remind you, Guardsy and I thought, had a pretty good show today for Enough Said that will run regular times tonight on Fox 9 Plus at 7:30 and Fox 9 at 9:30 tonight. Sometimes you can get it late because we've become, part of the reason I think we haven't been canceled yet is we're convenient extra programming where, like, over the weekend, they got a stray 30-minute block, and they go, well, I'll just put Enough Said in there. And so we get extra exposure that way, which is good. I'm beginning to think that's the main reason after 10 years we're still on the air. But we have a toy department section, and then we have a real-world section stint on the show as well. I should say segment on the program. So we hope you'll give it a watch, DVR if you can't on time, or I think Fox via Fox Local. You can pretty much, that's the app, another free app where you can get all the details and listen and watch not just tonight's show, but previous shows as well. So that's the plan. You're not going down to Target. You've had a couple of nights at Target. Are you going back to Target for the rematch with the Pels tonight?
I'm not. I'm available, though.
I was tempted to do so, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do other things. So I'll try to keep an eye on it and see if the Wolves can answer the bell tonight, because they sort of kind of need to at this point. Even with a schedule that's been inviting, you're going to start very soon running out of games, and you got some tiebreaker issues. I think our tiebreaker, if we tie with 2 teams, is good. Like if it's us, the Clippers, and Golden State. But if we're in a tie with the Warriors, we lose that because they won the season series. The Clippers, I'm not so sure. Thank you for texting today. Thank you for watching today. Most importantly, thank you for listening to today's broadcast. And hope you have a terrific weekend. And as I said, it'll be Blakemore and me back together on Sunday beginning at 9 a.m.
And that's a fact. Sorry, KFAN.
I'll be there.
But you know what?
Whenever you want me, I'll be there.
That's pretty good.
Whenever you need me, I'll be there.
Tweet that.
Wendy's is the official hamburger of March Madness, which means more deals for you and more burgers for your face. It also means we got a junior bacon cheeseburger or a double stack for $1 with an in-app offer and a purchase. It's hard not to get excited when there's an offer of 2 of the freshest hot off the grill burgers that Wendy's makes. The junior bacon cheeseburger with the fresh beef, applewood, smoked bacon, cheese, crispy lettuce, tomato, and mayo. And the hot and juicy double stack with 2 patties of fresh, never frozen beef with cheese, ketchup, mustard, pickle, onion. The real champions of March Madness. Head to Wendy's app and grab a $1 junior bacon cheeseburger or a $1 double stack and an in-app offer and a purchase. For the freshest deal in fast food, gotta be Wendy's.
PayPal lets you pay all your pals, like your graduation gifters.
Who's paying for the mattress topper?
You mean the beanbag chair?
Aren't we getting a mini fridge?
Can we create a pool on PayPal? It lets us collect the money before we buy.
Ooh, yes, that's smart.
Glad we can agree on something.
Easily pool, split, and send money with PayPal. Get started in the PayPal app. A PayPal account is required to send and receive money. A balance account is required to create a pool.
Optimize your nutrition with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences like Calorie Smart and Protein Plus. Factor's keto meals can help you lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks. Get started at factormeals.com/factor50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Weight loss with Factor Keto based on a randomized controlled clinical trial. Results will vary depending on diet and exercise.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check for the nearest bathroom first before the game starts. Now you're heading in the wrong direction, and it sounds like your team's taking the lead. Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.